My second book, or books on motorcycling, are a series of three, basically identical layout, two of which are original copies that I bought at the same time I bought Motorcycle Engineering, and the third one is a copy that I bought in the beginning of this century. This actually is a proper produced copy under a different imprint, but it is the same sort of type of book, hardback book and the like. So I'll look at these three books in turn. Once again, there are three books: Built for Speed, Famous Racing Motorcycles, and Historic Racing Motorcycles. Now, Historic Racing Motorcycles is the copy that I bought in 2010. They're all by John Griffiths, and they all follow the same layout, which is basically a picture of the motorcycle and a short piece of text about it. Now, this being the historic book on historic motorcycles, they are obviously all from the pre-war era. I don't think there is a post-war motorcycle amongst this. No, 1938-36 seems to be the end of the line for this book. Some interesting models that you maybe don't know about: the 500C Cotton, obviously powered by the JAP, Jap engine, nothing to do with Japan, more to do with J. Arthur Press Switch, as far as I remember. Once again, but this is an excellent series of books, probably more easily available because this second hardback series are probably still around in far better condition than the originals. Now, these are my originals, and with my reproduction dust covers. Now, Famous Racing Motorcycles does cover motorcycles from before and after the Second World War. So, quick start, we got the AJS 1939 4, the V4. I think Sammy Miller's museum has a version of that. And just a quick through, obviously the 1956 Guzzi V8, before I think they restricted the cylinders. So all the big names, the original Gilera 4s. So straight 4s started 1939. So really the concept of the across the frame 4 in a racing bike started much longer before they became common on road bikes. Gruff Superior, all the big names: Matchless, Norton, NSU, Triumph. Most people don't realise that a Triumph in the 1947, a Triumph Grand Prix, won the Senior TT with a 500 twin engine. I believe the interesting fact is it had an aluminium head that came from an electric generating set that had used the engine in bombers during the Second World War. And obviously Velocetta there as well, especially with their 1961 24-hour record holder, which as far as I know still stands. It ran for 100 miles, an average of 100 miles an hour for 24 hours. I mean, nobody seems to have bothered actually trying to break that one again. So that's sort of famous racing motorcycles, and they use the sort of, it does include some of the more exotica that never actually made it. The Velocette Supercharged Twin, this is one with the twin engines, the two cylinders facing forward, rotating, geared together. What you do find in here is certain bikes, especially from Norton, that never sort of saw the light of day. Well, especially in public. There was the Neela, I think it was raced once and then probably got banned for being the wrong shape. But there was also, from Norton, there was their efforts at a 4-cylinder and horizontally opposed. Now, some of these will then go to my last book of the series, Built for Speed. Again by John Griffiths, following the same formula. Now, this one does contain some exotica that never got built, for example, and we'll have a quick flick through. Now, there are some interesting ones here that I've never seen anything about elsewhere. This is the 500 Nortons that are going to replace the Manx, using a horizontal version of the engine. Obviously they must have made at least one prototype, because it's here, a picture of it, and this is sort of a showing of a diagram of the engine before it sort of, but it never was actually made and went into production. Including the Matisse, which is a dirt bike, and specials like this 4-cylinder that was well known in its day, based on 2 Ariel Arrow engines running stuck together to make a 4-cylinder 2-stroke. A long time before Yamaha got on the game. We then have the Norton 4. As far as I know, it was never made, but it looks like sort of parts of it were made, cast, so whether one was ever assembled and run is a bit vague. But we have here the water-cooled 4 that Norton were planning, and this is dated, it isn't dated, 1959 it started, and obviously I suspect financial considerations, and it never went anywhere. And now we have sort of a special Vincent's, which there were quite a number of those floating around at the time, and the introduction again 1959 of the first Honda 4 Honda Racers, the 125 twins and the 250 4-cylinders that sort of went to sweep all before them. So we have here 3 books: Built for Speed, Famous Racing Motorcycles, and Historic Racing Motorcycles. As far as I know, these are the only 3 in the series. There is a similar book of the series, but it's based on Formula 1 racing cars. But once again, if you want to find out, especially Built for Speed has some interesting bikes that there's very little information about elsewhere. But if you're interested in classic bikes and the history of sort of motorcycling in general, once again, these 3 books I come highly recommended. So, thank you for watching.